Welcome back to Life After the Cover Save, episode 326.
326. There's a couple different ways you can take it. 3 plus 2 plus 6 is an 11. 11 is a pretty good number by itself. But 11 is 1 plus 1, which would be a 2. So it could be a 2. This episode's a 2. And you know what? 11 is also a prime number.
Say.
Yeah, I don't know if you, maybe you can't break down an 11. 11 might be a whole number in numerology.
11 is like the bars of a prison holding your mind captive.
Yeah.
Same with the Roman numeral 3.
Oh, that's an even tougher prison, dude.
Romans know prisons. So, guys, hey, how's it going?
It's going great. I just took a NyQuil, so we are going to see how long I last before I pass out.
Perfect.
Why'd you take a NyQuil?
I have a bit of a virus ravaging my body right now, but you know what? Life After the Cover Say doesn't care about sickness or illness. It has to continue.
What are you feeling? Because this last weekend I got like a sinus thing, throat thing.
Yeah, this is definitely a sinus thing. It's a lot of post-nasal drip and a sore throat and some congestion.
Sounds terrible.
I gave it to you without actually being there.
Maybe.
Yeah. You sent it to him through the airwaves with your mental telepathy.
You sent me a viral Trojan horse, dude.
Oh, I don't know about that, dude.
Yeah. Hold on a second, Blake. If you were going to send Travis a Trojan horse, what shape or what would that look like? Like what would you send him that he would just open up and take your virus?
Yeah. You know what? I think that's the beauty of viruses. They're always Trojan horses. But if I was trying to make a Trojan horse to get them in, to get that package in the door.
Yes.
It would be
for Travis. Not for anybody. I'm specifically Travis.
It would be a collection of in the box, old school orcs and goblins.
Whoa.
Okay.
You know, we're talking about the Waverin. We're talking about the original Spider Riders. We're talking
about the
Paunch. Yeah. We're talking about although, you know what? Their line does look pretty good in plastic, though. The Fanatics, the Night Goblins.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd post that outside his door so he could see it on the Ring camera. And then he'd open it up. And then
I want a box of 4th edition Goblin Spearmen. The most deadly models. The most deadly models Warhammer or James Workshop has ever produced.
So if they were 4th edition, would you leave them out? Would you leave them out?
Like literally one time I remember like I had them in the box and I like laid my arm on it and 3 of them pierced my skin and I rose up my arm screaming. The spears were so sharp that they were deadly. They were like caltrops. Even in our D&D games at the time, we would say, I toss out a bunch of goblin spearmen.
Yeah, just running away from a.
It was a running joke because that thing happened to my forearm in my group.
You know,
we'll get to that later. You know, that's a pretty good Trojan horse. Good.
So you would let that in? You take that in, Travis?
Oh yeah, I'd take that into my house, into my body.
Interesting thing about those Night Goblin Spearmen, not only were they bald, they had no hair, no helmets. They also when in the Vietnam conflict, when they would capture the American Air Force pilots,
Oh,
and
yeah, yeah. Sure.
they would use those spearmen, and they'd stick them underneath their fingernails,
Mhm.
and that's how they would get the airmen to
They would
talk and
actually
stuff.
dip them into fecal matter as well and put them in pits out in the jungle. That if you
Yeah.
fell in, they would pierce your skin and give you gangrene,
Punji. They called it a punji trap, I believe.
Yeah.
which is just
Anyways,
Vietnamese for goblin
for,
spearmen.
Yeah. Goblins. And when you say they're bald, does it just means there's no robe on their heads?
It means that they weren't actually night goblin spearmen; they were just goblin spearmen.
but
Gotcha.
Because
the
all goblins are
archers,
bald.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
archers were night goblin though, right? The archers had the hoods.
I think so. If we're talking specifically about like that 4th edition box
The
set,
high elves.
which was the high elves versus the goblins, I think it was goblin spearmen's no hoods and bowmen maybe with hoods, maybe.
They had goblins and high elves?
Yeah, I had that set. I bought that set.
I'm willing to bet that you bought that set in 1992.
Was that before the Bretonians and
That's
the
when it came
lizardmen?
out. Oh
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
that's way before
Okay.
Bretonians and Lizardmen. Bretonians and Lizardmen, I
Oh,
think that was 1996
Yeah, probably.
for the 5th
oh,
edition box set.
Yeah, yeah. It was definitely the 5th edition box set. So 4th edition was high elves
and goblins.
and goblins. Wow. They like doing goblins in those box sets. And I guess they like doing high elves.
Oh yeah. Now they're cows.
I know. Dude, now
The high elves are cows now, dude.
something a lot weirder than what they started out as.
Hey, you
So,
know what, guys? Oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, you go ahead, bud.
I've been watching Mr. and Mrs. Smith. It's a pretty enjoyable show. It's not like the best show I've seen, but it's something I can put on and enjoy while I'm doing stuff around the house.
I feel like so far for me, the first episode was the strongest episode, and I've gotten less and less interested every subsequent episode I've watched.
So there's a chance you might not finish it.
There's a big chance because I'm halfway through episode 3, maybe episode 4, and I don't think I'll ever watch it again.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
it's well,
Perfect.
there's a good. You haven't seen it yet, but they meet another. Spoiler alert! They meet another couple.
Oh, that's the episode I'm on, and like half.
It's good.
I understand. Good. So I'm halfway through the episode. I get where this is going. I'm all like, I don't want to watch this.
Nice.
No, finish it, buddy.
Don't finish it, Travis. You know
no, Travis. As a favor to me, finish that episode.
I'll finish it. Okay. I did like the dog scene
for
what?
Blake.
The dog scene where they act like dogs.
Oh. Yeah,
what else could I be talking about, Blake?
Yeah, I had to think about it for a second.
I like how Blake like blinked 1,000 times and looked up into the sky when you said that.
It's because I'm one of those Dune Mentats. I got to drink the. I got to drink that, and then I got to like calculate and think through my.
You have to drink the melange.
Yeah.
Man, I'm excited for Dune. I wish we could go watch Dune together.
Let's do it. Let's make a Dune date.
But I'm already coming up that next weekend. Maybe we wait to see Dune. No, we got to see Dune right away.
I want to spend time in the barcade more than I want to see Dune. So
that's true. But what about Sunday?
What about Sunday? Are you staying the night?
Yeah, man, I'm not driving home the same day.
From Santa Clarita? You're staying the night in Santa Clarita?
I was actually hoping I could stay the night at Blake's house, but we haven't talked about it yet. Let's do it on
Let's
air.
ask him. Yeah, let's ask him on the spot.
Hey, Blake, do you still have a spare room? Spare
Yeah, dude. You
the
you want to
land
stay?
of
Yeah, that's
spare
fine. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Oh, so while we're on the subject, Blake, I'm just going to ask right now. You still renting out a bedroom? You still renting out any rooms in your house, Blake?
I mean, I can. I'd have to talk to the landlord.
Yeah, just curious. You still renting out rooms in your place?
Yeah, I could talk to the landlord.
Do you want to rent out rooms in your place? Or do
Part
you
of me,
like
yes.
just live?
A part of me, yes. Part of me, no.
So if you had roommates, what would that do to your situation? How would that improve your life?
How would that improve my life?
Yeah, how would it make it
Uh,
better?
I would have more pressure and incentive to keep things tidier.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Well,
Um,
that's a plus.
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Depends
Okay.
on the person. You
All
know,
right.
I
But
think
you're
the
open
biggest
to it.
thing. Yeah, I'm open to it. Kind of depends on the person, and I have to talk to the landlord.
Right.
You know.
All right. Cool.
Open communication.
Yeah. He's open to it. That's awesome, dude. That's
It's important.
awesome, brother.
Do I need to? Is there a reason?
Oh,
Who,
there's
me?
a reason.
Wait. What do you mean?
Is there a
Yeah, I don't know.
reason why you're asking me about a room rental?
No.
Just
Oh,
interested.
okay. Well, I mean, if it's serious, if it's something serious, then that it's something that not only I have to consider, but the landlord has
Listen,
to consider.
but
Because
my
it's a
wife
chance
and
to
I
make
have been
extra payments.
talking. My wife and I have been talking about the possibility of testing out a separation for some time.
Yeah.
And I just want to keep my options open.
No.
I kid.
I
Absolutely.
can talk to you about it on Saturday, dude.
Oh yeah.
I'll talk to you about it Saturday.
Get my eyes checked. I'm getting my eyes checked. Maybe get some night glasses. Help me drive at night so I can see
Night
clear.
goggles.
Yeah. I don't know the last time you guys got your eyes checked.
I don't need to. I have good vision. I think what you should do is tell them that you want to be prescribed the Apple Vision goggles, and they'll just everything will look crisper and clearer. You can track your heart rate and everything. All your biomeds will be up. Sports stats. You know what I mean? Your screen in your house will be 1,000 inches.
Can even detect ghosts.
Yeah.
Ooh. Whoa.
Yep. It's also
Do you
stud
see that?
finder. A stud finder.
Yes, stud finder. Yeah. Did you ever see that clip of it's one of the ghost hunter shows? And the guy's like, they're at like an old saloon, and he's like, I really want to take this shot right now. I've never wanted to take a shot this much ever. And they're like, you already took one, dude. You don't need to take any more. Like, no, I really feel like I need to take this. And so he's like saying that the ghost is making him want to drink this alcohol. And that, so now at home, it's like, babe, this place is haunted. Like, I get these urges.
Yeah.
And these whispers. If you set up an EVP machine, you could even hear them.
Yeah,
You know,
telling me to take this bump of
take
cocaine.
a shot.
Yeah. I've been having these real racist thoughts lately.
Fucking ghosts, dude. Fucking ghosts.
It's
Idiot.
a ghost.
Well. Speaking of ghosts,
And goblins.
and maybe the dead. We're going to talk about the ghosts. We're talking about the dead. We're going to talk about a game that is no longer being made by a company and being supported by its fans. And Blake, just recently played that game.
Now, here's the deal,
Ooh.
guys.
What's the name of this game?
It's called Netrunner, but legally, I don't think they can call it Netrunner.
What's in the box?
Compatible with Netrunner.
Okay.
Um,
I'll give you that.
Everybody, it's called Null Signal Games, Null Signal, which is like a dead signal. So Netrunner was the greatest card game I ever played, and it was something beautiful. And for a moment, I really have a couple golden ages of gaming in my life. Warhammer back in the Battleground days, D&D when I was a young man, and Netrunner maybe 2016. And the game died, and then right after the game, IP got taken back because it was created by the guy who made Magic, and so Wizards of the Coast had the IP, and then when Fantasy Flight had the IP of Netrunner to produce the game, and then once Fantasy Flight got bought out by Asmodee, which is a big board game company. That's a direct competitor to Hasbro. And because of the upper level corporate conflict, they pulled the IP away from Fantasy Flight. And then the community ended up stepping up, and they started to make a continuation of the game. And I didn't really buy into it. Basically, my group died when the game got lost.
It's two households, both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. One, Asmodee, from an ancient grudge, does break with new mutiny, where the civil blood of Wizards of the Coast makes civil hands unclean.
That's right, dude.
Civil hands unclean. And so
That's
recently, buddy, that's called
Shakespeare, brother.
That's called Fantasy Flight and Wizard of the Coast, brother. So a guy I used to play with, who's actually a Warhammer guy out here, he hit me up hey, do you want to play? This is a new game. And like, yeah, man, let's do it. So we bought into the cards. We're enjoying it very much. And the interactions on these cards are incredible. And like these cards are almost better designed than when Fantasy Flight did it, which at first I couldn't believe it. But yeah, I had a fantastic time. I think I played now with my guy here. We've met up 3 times.
Dang.
We've met up 3 times.
That's hardcore.
And we'll get maybe 2 or 3 games in
It's almost like little thing. 6 to 9 games, dude.
I'm telling you, it's a wonderful game. And he got this really nasty deck that I'm so glad he's not playing against me right now. It was such a disaster. He had a character that basically every time the hacker, took like brain damage, it would do a bunch of crazy stuff to my corporation deck. Like I'd have to start discarding cards that I had no control over. And when that happens, basically all my point cards get tossed into like an open server. And that allows him to start running that server and stealing the points. Oh. And so when the corporation doesn't have control over what it's getting rid of, either you got to protect up your server by installing your ice and stuff, which I probably should have done.
Yeah.
But I only put up one little piece of ice. So that was a really rough game. And so the fun part is like we can get all the cards on an app on our phone, and you can just build these decks because every single pack of cards is the same. So it's the same play set for every single box you buy. So it's the pure deck building aspect of it has always been the exciting part. And then what I like is you have to bring 2 decks. Like you have to bring a corporation deck and you have to bring a hacker deck. And when you play one, you switch around, and then the other guy plays the corporation while you play the hacker, vice versa. And what I like is that the play style of the corporation is very different than the play style of the Netrunner. The play style of the corporation is all about setting traps and doing mental games to trick the opponent, where the runner basically has to kind of find out, like, they only have so many turns to get into the servers before the game's over. So they have to be very careful about where they're running, and they have to spend time thinking about how they're building their computer to hack into the corporation servers. So
Gotcha.
The two different play styles in one game is fantastic. So
which do you, if you had a choice, prefer playing? The hacker or the corporation?
I think I'm probably better on the corporate side.
Wow.
Oh, that's not what
I
thought.
That's not what I expected.
At least
Stop
it's a
being
little bit
such
more.
a mark for the corporation, Blake.
Hey yo. I enjoy running the corporate side more because I like the dynamics of, like, trying to do things that are like a red herring or to make the runner misdirections and stuff.
Gotcha.
And then, like, if you can really set up the perfect, like, death server where all the right ice is set up, and then it's just a matter of, okay, when is my scoring opportunity? Right now, if I can keep the hacker poor, they can't get into my server. So it's like finding those windows of opportunity where you start pumping out your own scorecards, because the hacker and the runner basically win the game by stealing or scoring the corporation's cards, so to speak. So, but the two play styles are so different, and then inside each of the corporations and the runners, there's 4 different factions, and each faction has their own play style.
And is it always a corporation versus a runner? That's always the dynamic. It's never a runner versus a runner. Is there like a two-headed giant? Could you have 2 corporations versus 2 runners? Or is it always just a 1v1 situation?
You know what? I think the game could work that way. I'll have to go look on the Discord and see if anybody's ever come up with a multi-setup. There's definitely campaign. There's like campaigns and legacy campaigns built in that people have made. But that's an interesting note. That could be actually really fun.
That could be real fun.
Because you still have to have your separate hacking computers. You'd still be building your engine, and then the corporations. Oh, that could be interesting. Yeah. Interesting thoughts. Good questions here, boys.
Well, I'm glad you're having fun with Netrunner.
Yeah. Right now what I'm playing is the German corporation, Haas Bayreuth, who were into making, like, cyborgs. And so one of their main corporate competitors is a Japanese company called Genteki. And Genteki is in the clone business. So both of these corporations are trying to corner the labor market of the future. So cheap, disposable labor to do all your mining in the colonies, you can get a whole bunch of them and you get clones. Or you can spend a premium and get, like, a cyborg Bioroid who is, like, worth 10 different clones.
Super efficient.
Yeah. Then you get social problems, like, all of a sudden, do clones now get to vote? Like, what happens politically when the society of clones, you just keep them as second-class citizens? And that's all going on in the background, in the backdrop. But they'll have a card like no votes, no clones, and you could play that, and it kind of shuts down the runner's abilities a little bit or whatever.
Nice.
So, it's science fiction. It's political. I like it.
No votes, no clones.
Sounds right up your alley, dude.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, humanity first. That's what I say.
Speaking of games being brought back from the dead,
Shoosh.
I technically played a little bit of Warhammer Old World this week.
How?
Dang.
Not in the traditional sense, but I learned a lot about. I've just been itching to like get the game on the table.
Yeah.
I used a tool called Tabletop Simulator to simulate the experience I would have once I actually get my army on the tabletop.
Oh wow.
And, our friend of the show, SC Josh,
Yeah, well, here's
reaching
the deal,
across
though.
the aisle from the independent characters
Yeah.
down to the lowly dredges of the life after cover save.
Yeah.
Thing
Me
is,
and
though,
him.
wait, stop. Is he really a friend of the show? Let's just be honest.
I think he's I would say personal friend, my personal friend, SC Josh. I don't think
Wow.
I don't know if he's ever listened to the show, to tell you the truth.
He's been
Of
on
course
it.
not.
He's been
Oh
on it
yeah, he's been on it.
Warrior
with
Lodge,
Travis.
right?
That's true. We did a Necromunda
Yeah.
episode with him. Okay, friend of
Warrior,
the
what do
show.
you
He's
mean
been
Warrior
on the
Lodge?
show.
Hold on a second, Blake. When have we had a Warrior Lodge on
Well,
our show?
didn't we get someone to talk about the Warrior Lodge on our show before?
I don't think so, dude.
Dude, we've done 326 episodes.
First of all, what's
It's
a Warrior
possible.
Lodge?
A Warrior Lodge was that group up in Santa Cruz, right?
No, their group was not called the Warrior Lodge.
What is it?
I think the NyQuil's kicking in, guys.
That group that was up in Santa Cruz, they painted with just painted stuff, right? They played with just
I don't
painted
remember.
models.
That was called that was started by Bryce. Well, Bryce was one of the founding members.
Yeah,
of the Santa Cruz Inner Sanctum.
It wasn't
Warrior
called
Lodge.
The Warrior. No,
The Warrior Lodge was just a segment on the independent characters.
That's right, Travis. Thank you, Travis. I can always count on you to know what's going on.
My mind's a trap.
Whatever.
Even slowed down by NyQuil. He's just quick on his feet. So you played with your friend, your personal pal,
and friend of the show.
And friend of the show, SC Josh. So yeah, what we did, we're actually he started asking me because he had a fair amount of vampire counts already collected. And he kept asking me, so have you been looking at the old world? And I, talked to him about it, and I actually got him hyped that he bought the rule book, and then he just he's been kind of sniping just a couple purchases to make to finish out his list. But we threw down 1,250 points on Tabletop Simulator, vampire counts versus vampire counts. The two kind of lists. The lists are very different, although it's the same army, and it's weird. There's weird interactions because basically undead versus undead, we're all immune to psychology. So some of the things that normally you'd see with a vampire count army, we're not really getting interactions. But the main thing that I'm learning a lot about, it's so I haven't played fantasy since it's been I think 15 years. So I didn't play any of the 8th edition, the last edition of the fantasy. I think 7th was the last edition that I ever actually played any games. So it's been a really long time since I moved square bases around on the table. And there's just a lot of interesting interactions. I couldn't wrap my head around some of the charge reactions because those are a little bit different. It's sort of stuff that you would just, it's you think when you get charged, you can stand there and take the charge. If you have a missile weapon, you can take a leadership test and fire the missile weapon, or you could actually choose to flee. And that's the thing I couldn't wrap my head around. I mean, why what that actually meant. And eventually I figured it out. Is you literally are fleeing. If they catch you, you'll get slaughtered. If you go off the board, you get slaughtered. But it might be a smart move just to get away from that charge, and hopefully you'll rally them next turn. But all that was mute because the undead are unbreakable and they can never flee because they're incapable of
Oh,
having
they
any
can't flee?
emotions. They can never flee.
Whoa.
The
I didn't know
undead
that.
never flee.
So is that in your army book or
Yeah,
your
that's
sheet?
it. That's it. So basically, the undead have this like suite of rules that it's called the Restless Undead, and there's like 4 different like named rules that they all have. One of them is like immune to psychology, unbreakable, and something. So what happens is normally when you lose a combat, you take a leadership
Oh,
test and then you flee. But
you
when the
just lose extra
undead
guy.
lose when the undead loses by how many points you lost, that's how many more skeletons you take out of the unit.
How many points you lost or how much you fail your leadership by?
I think it's how many points, but you know what? I'm not even
Oh,
100% sure
okay.
there. I think it's like so if he scores 4 points, I scored 3 points, I would just lose one skeleton.
Fair
I
enough.
think
Fair enough.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
But it might be a leadership test, to tell you the truth. One thing that's cool is their army banner, instead of doing what normally the army banner does, it reduces the amount of losses by D3 if you're within 18 inches of the banner,
Whoa.
which is pretty strong.
Do you have an army banner in your list?
I not my 1250 list, but my
Mhm.
2000 list for sure. I have a white king with the battle standard.
Oh yeah, you do. Yeah, you
Yeah,
do, buddy.
I got
Can't
to
wait to
pick
see
up the
that shit
model from
painted.
your house. Yeah, it's gonna look
Yeah.
cool. Yeah,
Um,
so we
are
we
are
got
they
through like
both
2
legacy?
turns. Mhm.
Are they both legacy
It's the same
armies?
army. Are you talking about Josh's army and
Yeah,
Travis's army?
yeah. There
Yeah,
is
it's the same
vampire
army.
counts Is they legacy or
Yeah,
are they
vampire.
okay?
No, they're legacy. They're legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you know what? Interesting thing. Look at their like web store. All of the legacy armies, which they're not being supportive, you can't buy models for those legacy armies because they're sold out. I think the people have spoken that like, yeah, these aren't legacy armies. These are the armies we're playing. Like
Amen.
also it's very funny. Look at the dark elves. There's only 2 models that are on AOS bases on their web store. Every other model, the pictures in their web store are still on square bases, and they're trying to tell us that's a legacy army.
Yeah. They're trying to
They're
tell
trying to
us
tell us that
they gotta be on
that's an
round
AOS
bases?
army. You don't even have box art with them on round bases, and you're trying to tell me that the dark elves are a
Dark
legacy
Angels.
army? You
Dark
talking to
Angels are like
me? You can't even buy a vampire lord on a dragon. It's been
you
out of
can't.
stock since the game was released.
Probably
And let
since
me
it was
tell you,
announced.
yeah, and people aren't putting that dragon on the round base. I'll tell you that, dude. I'll tell you that, dude. That
Yeah.
dragon's going on square base, brother.
You know where they're gonna have the next end times? Age of Sigmar, dude.
There's going to be a time portal, and Age of Sigmar is going to go back into the past. Welcome to the old world. No,
Oh, to
I,
save the old world. It's like the
I,
Terminator.
I'm speaking completely out of my butt. I have no insider trading information, nothing, nothing like that. But I think that the old world so far is performing exceedingly above expectations for GW. And I hope that the next releases, which I think the next release is actually Wood Elves and Beastmen.
Well, there's orcs, right?
Is what I saw recently. I think Wood Elves and Beastmen, then it's Orcs and Dwarves, but maybe they changed it. Maybe Orcs and Dwarves got pushed up and moved around. You know, I'm going off of this video I showed on YouTube where they showed the GW timeline. and maybe it was wrong. You know, I like that. That's what I'm saying. I don't have any real information here, but I know that the pairing is dwarves and orcs are going to come out,
Yeah.
and beastmen and wood elves are going to come out. I don't know
Yeah,
which
that
one's
makes
coming
sense
next.
thematically. You
Yeah.
know, Ed
Wood
and I
elves.
had an interesting conversation about the idea that like GW is being slow and purposeful on how they're releasing this line. You remember that
And I think it's
conversation we
very
had,
smart,
Ed?
actually. Yeah.
I initially I made fun of it and talked
Yeah.
about that's how little they care about us. That they're
Yeah.
not even. But then when we sat down and thought about it, and it could be a smart move because the miniature gaming is about to be completely revolutionized with ubiquitous 3D printers.
Yep.
And
That's
like
true.
if they're really
We're on
putting in a
the
bunch of capital to re-release, repackage, resculpt, all that, 10 different armies, they might be bankrupting their company
yeah.
because in the
And
next
you know
3
what?
years they might be
And
selling
since
print
Yes,
files
yes.
in the next 3 years.
these models that they're reprinting aren't they're not even printing box art for them. They're online only, so they're just coming in a white box with a sticker. The only thing they're printing are the starter sets.
Yeah.
But I mean, all the other additional models, I mean, it literally seems like they are quote unquote printing money with these, because it's like all of the tooling's already been done. It's already like sunk costs from years ago. And I was trying. Gosh, someone mentioned this on YouTube. I've been watching a lot of old world YouTubes,
I can tell.
but yeah, I'm very very into it right now. But I think he kind of grasped what my personal, like, even in Warhammer 40K, like, I love like the metal models. Like almost all my Eldar army are metal models. I love those sculpts. And I think this YouTuber kind of keyed it in for me, because these older sculpts were all sculpted by hand,
Yeah.
and the new sculpts are amazing. They're beautiful. It's the best that the miniatures have ever been. But there is something different emotionally with a computer generated model and a hand sculpted model for me. There's a craftsmanship to it, and there's an almost like spiritual transfer from the sculptor to that miniature that's in my hand that is different. I want to. I am not ragging on like new models at all. I love them as well. It's just it's a different relationship that I have with a new 3D sculpted model and a hand sculpted model of the past. And I
Yeah.
think like what if they just start doing like new hand sculpted models for like one-off little bespoke things, like, hey, this model, this is a hand sculpt.
Maybe.
Like that hand sculpted knight with a deformed head and face. I
Listen,
mean,
they're not all good. I'm not saying that they're all good. But you know what? That dude, he's proud of what he did, and he sculpted that by hand. And could I sculpt something better? No,
yes. Oh,
You know,
no.
if
No,
you
I mean, no.
maybe.
if you want to find that spiritual connection in a game, um I think that's something that's always been appealing about Sean Sutter's Relic Blade, because not only are the models hand sculpted by himself, his
Oh,
entire
really?
model line, yeah, all the art for the game is done by him, and the rules, except for some rules, you might get help from the Ninja Malev,
Mhm.
but the game itself, basically from top to bottom, is the output of one person. And so I think that's something that's always been attractive to me about it. And that's why those characters, those models, those sculpts have so much character. because it's the vision of just one person and one set of hands.
Yeah, I mean that's very interesting. Yeah, so I don't know what it is that has so enthralled me, but maybe it has something to do with just my origins in gaming in general. But the Warhammer Old World is just it's hitting everything, and the little interaction I got to have a couple turns on the simulator, like I'm like the rule set's starting to kind of open up,
Yep.
and I really like that just the front lines are fighting. So it's not really, you're never picking up 30 dice and rolling 30 dice. It's
Interesting.
it's it's like it's 5 dice. It's maybe 8 dice. If you have like a really long 10-man squad, then you could roll 10 dice. But there's something about like there's still so much like going on. And also something, someone on, I think, the independent character forum kind of brought this up, that there's this 40K feels much less like role play in its later additions. Like it's like you take this unit, you plug it into this. You're not customizing. You're not creating characters. And the old world, it's like every character you're picking all the magic items. You're really and
Their
every
mounts.
unit has so much personality, of how you're you're equipping them and everything. It just feels, and it just feels great. I love it.
Here's
I
the
love
thing.
the old world. Hmm.
They're talking about, and this was on a different podcast I heard. They were talking about how they were talking 40K and AOS, and how they were saying the list building in Warhammer 40K is not the same, kind of like what you're saying, because when you buy a unit of models, you can choose whatever weapons you want. So if you're doing Terminators, it's the same cost if you decide to do a heavy flamer than if you decide to do a missile launcher or an assault cannon.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
it's just like there's not as much strategy because, of course, everyone's going to pick if they have to choose between, the weak gun that doesn't do anything or the gun that's going to be that everyone's picking, then everyone's going to pick the same gun. So you're not going to see some varieties. But in AOS, you have to choose. You get to choose between like more attacks or stronger attacks, less attacks, stronger attacks. So you're usually choosing between that, and it could be, oh, I need these guys to do. I think I want to try more attacks. There's a variation that you're getting more into the list building itself because the choices can both be beneficial. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
And
Yeah, there's
and like
plenty of weapons in 40K. You just look at it and be like,
why?
why would I ever take this? Oh,
Mhm.
because it's 1 point cheaper. You know.
But now it
Go
doesn't
ahead,
matter.
but
The war gear
yeah,
doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think, granted, I'm really enjoying playing 10th edition 40K. But I'm not as passionate. I don't feel the passion towards it that I'm feeling towards the fantasy. And I think ultimately, like, the modern 40K and AOS, I can't speak to. I've actually never played AOS, so I don't know anything about it. I just look at the models, and half of them I like, half of them I absolutely hate. And but 40K is definitely being built more in a competitive mindset, I think.
Yeah.
And this Warhammer Old World, while certainly, like, I could see you playing it competitively if you want to, but that is not the mindset of the rule set at its core. At its core, it seems to be a much more narrative like minded rule set, that you're
Yeah.
you're trying to tell battle stories instead of have competitive battles. That's my take on it so far. And granted, this is me playing 2 rounds digitally, like but I mean, oof, my 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 army is almost completely ready to go rebase. Like I my last movement trays, I sprayed them today. The
Nice.
goblin green. I just got to put some flocking down on it, and they're going to be ready to rock and roll.
Huh.
So I
Well,
was watching. I was watching the game being played, and it took a while for it to load at my work because I think the internet was probably throttling me, or I had bandwidth issues.
Yeah,
But
maybe.
so I missed the part. Did you guys alternate placing units?
Yes, we did. Yeah. So yeah, but basically how it works out, you alternate, you do a roll off, and then you alternate placing your units. All of your regiments get placed first.
Oh.
Then all war machines get placed at one time.
Oh,
So but none of us had war machines. And then all your characters get placed. So it
that's
kind of
nice.
goes, you place it, you place a regiment, I place a regiment, I place a regiment, I place a regiment, until that's done. Then, okay, do you have war machines? You put all your war machines down. I have war machines. I put all my war machines down. Do you have characters? Okay, you put all your characters down. I have characters. I put all my characters down. And that's kind of how it goes. And whoever like finishes first gets a +1 to the who
To
goes
the roll.
first
Okay.
roll.
Okay.
I think in general in this game, going second is going to be the most beneficial because it's
Yeah.
there are going to be very few, if any, units who could get a charge off in the first round, and like I ended up inching up a little bit and then just receiving a bunch of charges, but
It's your first game. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
Yeah, step up, bud.
so the first thing Travis does when it's his turn, I mean,
yeah.
first Josh, he pushes up his guys. He's like, "Oh, I'm just going to
That's true.
push
He
them all
got
out
first
there,
turn. He inches
and then they'll be
everyone up a
ready to
little
charge."
bit.
Yep. And so Travis is like, "All right, command is it command phase or strategy
Yeah,
phase or
yeah,
whatever?"
yeah. I think forget what it's called, but it's like a strategy. I think it's called the strategy phase, the very first part.
So that's where you could cast spells.
Yep.
And what level is your wizard? Was he level 1?
So I just took a level 1 wizard because the necromancer is really just there to use another ability to bring skeletons back after they die. But I'm like,
Okay.
oh, I have one spell. I'm gonna try to cast a spell.
What spell was it?
It was dance macabre. It's a spell that's the vampires have always had, but essentially what it does is it can make your skeletons move a little faster,
Oh, okay.
or increase their weapon skill, or increase their strength or something like that. You choose some stats to increase them for one turn. It's a very good
Interesting.
spell.
Right.
It's yeah, I mean, to give skeletons an extra 3 inches, an extra 3 inches, that's pretty
Are
good.
they
Ain't nothing,
slow?
ain't nothing to sniff at.
Skeletons only move 4 inches, yeah,
Oh, okay.
and they can't
Wow.
march.
That's what
Oh.
Chaos Warriors. They only move 4.
But can they march?
They
yeah.
chaos march,
And they have heavy armor.
Yeah.
So it's like, and they're 17 points.
Yep. So Travis goes to cast a spell.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
And what'd you roll? Was it 2
I
ones?
rolled double ones, yes. So it's a
Ugh.
miscast. So first the spell doesn't go off, and it's a miscast. So then you have to
Yeah.
roll on the miscast table. And I rolled a 1 on the miscast table, which is the worst result. So the spell gets out of hand, and I have to place a 5-inch
Template.
spell storm on top of my
Yeah.
necromancer, and it does like a horrible attack it hits about 10 skeletons.
Yeah.
Like from 2 different regiments, and my regeneration helps a little bit, but it's like a -4 AP, like strength 2 hit, so it's low strength but high AP. But the regeneration helps, and I lose, I think, about 5 skeletons out of the 10. So that was my first action.
They move too fast. They move too fast.
I just destroy 5 of my skeletons, so off to a
Yeah.
great. And then
I'm
throughout
glad.
the 2 turns, Josh rolls so high on every single one of his spells. All of his
Yeah.
spells all go off. I try to counter a few of them, but it never works. But I mean, I kind of knew this going in, but like you really need to bring a 4th level spellcaster because like the lower level spellcasters, they're almost useless.
They can't do it. But I think if he was a level 4 and you roll double ones,
Yeah,
still
there's
wouldn't
nothing you could do with the double ones. The double ones always is a miscast.
Yeah.
I'm glad the game shit all over you.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm glad you're glad.
You know what though?
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. But go ahead, Blake.
Here's the deal. There is a game that I'm glad that didn't shit all over you. Because I know Ed, now it's not 40K, but
No, it's
Ed
not.
did play something recently.
That's right.
And from the picture, it looked like 40K.
It did.
But
It looks a lot like 40K.
Tell everybody here. What's this?
So, one of our local friends, Cheyenne, he had a big, not a big, but a get together at his house, and I'm gonna say a name, and it's gonna upset everybody, but Carl was there from the Independent Characters. I know. And unfortunately,
Hey, yo.
unfortunately, I had to play with him in this game and his wife.
Jesus.
Yeah. I almost just left
Nightmare.
when I heard I was going to be playing with him. I almost just walked out of Cheyenne's house.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't make it.
And
you really jumped on that grenade.
Before I would have walked out, I would have put on my shoes and ran all around his house. But I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't. I left my shoes off. I composed myself, and I said, I'm going to give this game a shot. I'm going to give it a try. So, what it was, it was a Space Hulk game. Okay?
Wait.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, hear me out.
Space Hulk.
So, everyone knows what Space Hulk is. I mean, most people know what Space Hulk is. They made board games with it. And it's basically you're a Blood Angel Terminator, and you're in this ship that's being overrun by Tyranids, and you've got to complete missions throughout the ship, right? So, apparently at Adepticon, there's this group that does this Space Hulk game where it's pretty big, and you can have multiple teams of Space Hulks controlled by different players running through these through these corridors and completing a mission. And so Cheyenne took like the pamphlet or the rules for it, and he decided he wanted to do it with models that he had. And he did it with Tyranids. So he did a spin on doing the Space Hulk game with Tyranids and kind of did some rules, try to base it off of what he played at Adepticon, but changed it to Necrons.
Okay.
Sorry if I said something else, but so his spin was to put Necron, because he's a big Necron player, as we
Instead
know.
of Gene Stealers being the enemy, it's still Space Marines, but Space Marines versus Necrons. Interesting.
Yes. Yeah, it's a ship that has Necrons like teleporting in and fighting you. So yeah, you start out, there's 3 like main doors, and Carl's wife, Shell, was one group, Carl was another group, and I was the last group. And Cheyenne's running all the Necrons. So he would the way it would work is we would do a move. Like you get each person is basically their own unit, right? And so they would get 5 action points.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different things you could do, like you can move forward for 1 action point. You can turn 90 degrees for an action point because they're slow because they're Terminators, right?
Yeah, Terminators are not very maneuverable.
Yeah. You can fire for an action point, or you can set up Overwatch for like 2 points, I think. And then you could use 2 points to walk backwards, take a step backwards.
Yep. That sounds all in line with normal Space Hulk action economy.
So you are controlling one Terminator.
5 Terminators. Each
It's a
of us
squad.
get
5 Terminators.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on the board, there's 15 Terminators.
Yes.
Each group of 5. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Was
So
there
you're gonna
a
pick-
sergeant mechanic where you would roll a d6 and get extra actions?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
Solid.
are
it
you
was a
doing
D3. It was a D3.
Oh, a d3. Okay.
Yeah.
and does each model get those 5 points?
Yes.
Or do you have those 5 points to spread? Okay.
There's 50 point I'm sorry, 25 points. So 5 times 5 is 25.
Yeah. So each guy has 5 points.
Yes,
Yeah.
you can't do more than. Well, you can do more if you spend your extra command points that you roll.
As long as your sergeant's alive, you get like an extra d3.
But it's
Gave
not
it to
like
us.
you can it's not like you can it's not like you can just do 2 actions with these guys. So you spend 2 points here and then you can put like 10 points on one guy.
No, every guy just has 5.
Yeah.
And traditionally, when you play
because I've never
Space
played
Hulk,
Space Hulk.
yeah, traditionally when you play Space Hulk, the Space Marines, you have an egg timer, like a little egg timer. So that's the whole thing. It's like you have to get through all of your movement before the egg timer goes off. I'm doubting that with multiple people, they're probably not doing an egg timer sort of thing.
No.
But that's a really cool thing that adds a lot of tension. If it's like as soon as the timer goes off, to represent how much faster the Gene Stealers are, the Gene Stealer player doesn't use the egg timer. The Space Marine player has to use the egg timer, and you have to finish your turn. You have basically 1 minute to finish your turn.
Wow.
And then the Gene Stealer player can take as long as he wants. You just be out. It's a great game. We should play it sometimes. Like just
We should.
original. I have a fully painted, like original Space Hulk. It's fantastic.
Nice. Yeah, so on Cheyenne's turn, he would just drop bases down, right? Upside down throughout the map, signaling where he was moving. But if you didn't have line of sight on the base, you don't know what that is. So you would like, oh, we hear something, or our scanners are picking up something up ahead, but we're not sure what it is yet. And then you would turn a corner, then he would reveal himself, and then you could start shooting at him. So the Overwatch is kind of cool, and I understand why it was 2 points. Because every time, like, let's say it was a swarm of scarabs, right? And they start moving towards you. You start shooting it. You take a shot. You miss. They move closer. You take another shot. Either you hit or you miss. Then they move closer. You take another. So you get to keep shooting until they're within base-to-base contact. So you get a
Was
lot
there
of
a
shots.
jam mechanic
Yep.
still on the bolters? Yeah, the
Yep.
bolters could jam as well. So if
Yeah.
that happens
On Overwatch,
then,
they could jam.
yeah, on your Overwatch, yep.
So if you don't have a command point saved, then if you have a command point, you could spend it to just automatically unjam it and keep firing. But if you don't, then you just stop shooting, which could be bad. I think Carl and I both lost at least 3 guys, almost 4. So close combat was pretty deadly. You're better off just shooting because you get your armor saved. But in close combat, you just basically, he's rolling a bunch of dice. You're not rolling very many die. And if any one of his dice beats any one of your dice, you're just dead.
All right.
For the most part.
It seems really. It seems like it's a pretty faithful adaptation of the real Space Marine rules, just kind of expanded on and tweaked a little bit to accommodate more players. And I think using the Necrons is that's very clever.
Yeah, and it came down to like the last turn. We had to get down the hall into like this room where there was like better equipped Necrons that were harder to kill in there. And there was this object that we had to shoot and destroy, kind of like a base in the game Contra, where you had to shoot it so many times before it exploded. And so we, like, on the last turn, we were able to blow up that thing. And so I think the balance wise, it seemed pretty balanced because it was close. And the fact that His terrain was all done nice and painted.
Yeah, the table looked fantastic.
Yeah.
And did you paint that terrain?
No, I did not. That's a different terrain. I did the Necromunda, a big thing in Necromunda terrain.
Okay.
Yeah, I talked to him how he painted it. It was basically, he was using contrast paints as filters, like up above to get like the green, and then down below to get like the griminess, and it turned out really good.
Yeah.
How big was the table?
It was pretty big. It was on a piece of wood on top of his pool table.
I would say it was probably like the full size of like a 40K game. Like it was probably like
Almost.
not quite a 6x4, but the new size, like 60-inch by 44. I would say it was definitely like 60-inch by 44 for sure.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. It was real fun. I enjoyed it. I'd play again.
How long did it take?
So
an
we
hour?
started, maybe like an hour and a half. So we started playing around the same time Travis started playing a game of Dark Tower, and we were done pretty well before he was.
Yeah,
So,
but the Dark Tower game took about 2 hours because that was a bunch of people who had never played before, really.
Yeah.
Who the fuck are you playing Dark Tower with?
I was playing with Campos. Campos's lovely wife, and some random young man who I don't remember his name.
I think it was
Cheyenne's
wife's brother or nephew.
Brother, nephew.
Yeah, somewhere around.
I mean,
listen, hold on a second. We were eating food at Cheyenne's house, and all of a sudden, all these white people came up and started eating food, and we're like, "Who are these people?"
We were never introduced.
Yeah, we were never introduced. and Cheyenne's wife wasn't even in town.
Bob.
She was out.
I think the kid's name was Bob or Billy. He was a good kid. I nice kid. I played
Billy Bob
a couple games with him. Billy, maybe it was Billy.
And are you are you just doing the cardboard map for this? The cardboard map?
We did just because to save space, but I did bring the miniatures out.
So at least you didn't.
We won
too.
Didn't
use the.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
don't
we
tell
won.
me that. Don't tell me. I'm fucking disgusted. If
Campos
Josh hears about this,
happy.
If Josh hears about this, he's going to be upset.
Man, the Dark Tower's for everyone. Dark Tower doesn't discriminate.
Amen. Amen, Travis. Amen, I say to you. Yeah. So, I mean, listen. Blake, Travis, myself, we all got games in. And that's exciting. It's exciting for me, and exciting for Travis and Blake, and it's also exciting for all the listeners out there.
Yeah, man. We're out there doing the work,
Yeah. Hey fans, head on over there to nullsignalgames.com where you could purchase yourself the system gateway. This is what you need.
How many do you have?
Get you started.
How many boxes do you
have?
How
many? One. I have one box. How many decks do I have?
How many new decks have you bought since this?
I haven't bought decks.
Oh, so you're using
how many
your
boxes have I? No.
They're just
these aren't decks. These are boxes.
Okay.
So I've bought 1, 2, 3. This is number 4. This is box number 5, but it's all cards that I owned previously.
Okay.
And then
you're a mark.
And then I'm a mark for Netrunner.
Bottom
and
over,
dude. I got 2 more coming in.
Oh my god.
It's the standard. It's the standard format. Just making sure I got all the cards for standard. And what I'm doing is I'm sleeving every single card.
Hell yeah, dude! Mm-hmm. You better double sleeve some of those cards.
Nah, not gonna just I'm sleeving every card.
Standard.
So sleeve. There might be some cards I will never use.
A sleeve for every card, a chicken for every pot.
That's what FDR wanted. Anyways, yeah,
Nice.
it's good to get games in. You guys got a lot of games in.
Yeah.
Amen, dude.
It's a game renaissance, man. And, you know, we're going to keep going. We got more game days planned on the horizon. I have a matchup with Cheyenne next month, a weekend before Adepticon. I'm bringing my Eldar over to Cheyenne's house, and we're going to have a real game, dude.
So, after the game, we can play some Dark Tower, or
we actually plan on doing some Kill Team, like playing a 40K game, and then I've actually never played Kill Team, so we're gonna do some Kill Team because I
sounds like a really long day.
I'm gonna be there all day, dude. I might spend the night.
Okay, all right. Well, me and Blake will be down the street, hanging out, doing some fun stuff.
Yo,
just jerking each other off.
Yo,
maybe we'll play fantasy.
Me and RoboEd.
Do you know what?
I
will bring that up with Cheyenne. Maybe after our 40K game, the two of you gentlemen could pop on over for a little Dark Tower game. That could actually be really enjoyable.
Okay, that sounds better. I like the way that sounds a lot better than what you were describing earlier.
Kill Team.
Oh. All right. Well, listen. I think that's it.
Yeah, man. You know, I didn't think that just talking about the things that we played would take up a whole episode, but I think it was a great episode. I enjoyed it, and I'm not high on NyQuil right now.
Nope.
Nah, man.
I'm not even slurring my speech.
You keep your blood clean, your body lean, and your mind free. That's what I like about you, Travis.
Amen.
And your pea green.
Mm-hmm. Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
I think that might have been in the Spider Web movie. In the immortal words of Moose Jaw Jackson.
Life is always sweeter
after the cover save.
Miniatures where focus, crash, and tails endure. Forget inside this deep